Hey, everybody, Jim Cummings here. And if Tigger were here, he'd say, thanks, everybody, for bouncing on in here and enjoying the show. But before we go, I want you to do me a small favor. Hit like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Now, speaking of enjoying the show, enjoy the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tuned In with Jim Cummings in a new studio. That's right. How do you like it? We're here in Las Vegas. I'm producer Chris, joined as always by the legend Jim Cummings. How are you doing today, sir?
It's another day in paradise.
Absolutely. And today we have a very special guest for you.
Who couldn't make it?
Actor, comedian, voiceover actor, multi-talented, the amazing Brad Garrett. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you. You do that too.
The crowd.
That is the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm used to this. Where's Ray?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Good to see you, man.
Oh, man.
Good to meet
Same
you.
here.
Likewise.
Same here.
So how are you liking
you.
Vegas?
Oh, it's nice and warm.
Yeah, this is nothing.
Nice
This is
that's true.
springtime. This is
That's
springtime.
true, huh? Yeah.
It's 120, I think, 15 days last summer.
Dang.
No kidding.
It's brutal.
Do you do the egg thing? Just put it out an iron skillet out there and throw it? Because I heard that's
Well,
doable.
I'm homeless, so
okay.
so I do.
So
I
yes.
have to, so I make my eggs on the sidewalk.
Sounds
and
like
then,
yes.
and then I sell them or trade them. You know, it gets crazy. I should try the egg thing.
Yeah.
I should try that because I got a lot of time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
seriously,
right.
at this point, it's like, what am
Oh,
I going to
man.
do here? It's a fun
Yeah.
town, man. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
How long have you lived out here for?
Well, I'm here half the time, more so lately, because I have my club at MGM.
Right.
But I still live in LA, but I've been working the Strip since '86.
Wow.
No
Which
kidding.
is, '86, I started at the Desert Inn, opening for their different people. And
Yes.
opening
There
for-
was a singer.
there was a singer, never made it.
Never
named,
made- yeah.
Frank Sinatra,
Oh, that one.
who called me Greg Barrett
Yes, that
for,
was.
for 4 years.
I was.
And I didn't have the Stones, and my mom came to the show and she says, "Why are you taking a bow to someone else's name?" And then she'd tip it back and leave with the band member. But I said, "Mom, it's no big deal." "It is a big deal. Your name is Brad. He's calling you Greg." And I went to Jilly, his main guy.
Oh, yeah.
After a couple of years, and I went, "Hey, Jilly, can I ask you a question?" And immediately he went, "You want the gig or not?" That was Jilly.
Wow.
And I said, "Of course I want the gig."
Yeah.
I said, "But Frank's calling me Greg. What is your name?" And I said, "Brad." And he goes, "Do you want to go correct him?" And I said, no, not really. So for about, quite a while, I'm taking a bow to Greg Barrett. And even backstage, he would say, "Greg, get me more ice." And of course I would do it. But it was fun because it was like him and Sammy and Liza Minnelli would come by and
No kidding.
refill the prescription. And it was a blast. It was it wasn't the old Vegas like we loved, but it was the end of
Well, an era.
it was an era.
Yeah.
It was an era, man. So I got
Boy, no
teeny
kidding.
twisted. Yeah.
Well, and now you're up on the Vegas Mount Rushmore.
Well, I
you're
don't know
doing
about
great.
that. I'm working the food court at
Yes.
the MGM.
Yes.
If you're there, come by, get a corn dog. For you too, Chewy.
Yeah.
Please come by. And I don't think he has a badge to be in here. And it's,
got any papers?
It's it's a wonderful business. It's humbling, because I was in the big theater for a while, and then Ray took care of that. And,
thank
he's
you.
like, put him near the food. And so it's great. So I'm in the club, and Ray's going to be like in the main theater in a few weeks.
Oh.
So it's kind of going to be like life imitating art. I'm
Okay,
working.
that does not sound right, though.
Yeah, well, it is with his act because he has material. He has material, and
I
me,
didn't know that.
I just roast people until they complain.
Yeah.
And but so it's going to be fun. We're going to do a little reunion.
That's
see,
good stuff.
See if he remembers me. I've never met him, so I'm looking forward to seeing.
Oh man,
Ray
oh,
Romano.
man, that's
Everybody loves
fantastic.
Raymond. For those of
Yes.
you curious.
Yes.
Yes, and for the three of you who don't know,
Yes. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Could be four. I don't know.
We have some young people watching, man. You never know.
No. It's definitely. I'll tell you how you know when the career is kind of over. People think this is not. This happened.
Please don't say you start a podcast.
No. I just said. Hey, if it was successful as this one, I would probably do it. But people are starting to think I'm Kramer.
What?
Which is,
Oh,
yes,
no.
Yes. And yes. That's why I wear the
Holy
hat.
crap.
No, I know. But no, they really, and it's kind of
Kramer?
fun. That's they're like, hey, are you Kramer? And I'm like, yes. I don't even want to get into it. And I'm so insecure, I don't want to say no. But it's like the career's at the point, they're not sure how they know you.
Oh.
They either went to high school, you're Kramer, And it's funny. I get that or B. Arthur. I get B. Arthur a lot.
Really?
Because of the
You too?
size. Because of the size. But tad smaller.
How tall are you?
6'8".
6'8".
6'8", yeah.
See, I had you at 10 for some reason.
You had me at 6'10".
At 6'10".
What are
yeah.
you? Everyone's 6'10".
Well, that's true. I mean,
I mean,
And is it true that you hold a Guinness Book of World Record for tallest lead actor?
that's
I don't.
pretty cool.
I don't know. I think is that really well? What
In my research, I
what a
came across
horrible
that.
stat.
That's a great
Yeah,
stat.
yeah.
I think Andre the Giant.
Yeah, but the
beat
guy,
me.
yeah, well,
Was he a lead though?
He was. Well, I'm really not a lead.
You have
You know,
been.
I've been
well,
been a second
I don't
band.
know.
I
Jackie
don't know.
Gleason, I'm pretty sure you were.
Wow, that was fun.
That was
great.
fun.
Thank you, man.
That was cool as hell.
You were great. Thank you. Ray had a great line. He goes, "They should call the movie Jackie the NBA Years."
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of
I can't
fun.
believe you sound just like him. And,
Yeah.
Well, you started in your act. You did a lot of impressions.
When I
Back in the
started
day,
out,
right?
it was just that's all I did when I started out. It was very,
Yeah.
very, my beginning in stand-up was very, not that there's an incredible growth, but in the beginning it was very pedestrian. It
Well,
was
you were
very
Star Search,
impressions
the king
and-
of Star Search.
Star Search was the beginning. I know. I know,
come
man.
on.
84.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing poo?
About 84, honestly.
Yeah, about the same time.
That's amazing.
I think
That
yeah, I
is
think that's about
amazing.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing Tigger on and off, depending on
Right.
God rest his soul.
Winchell.
Paul Winchell. He was
Yeah.
going back and forth to Africa. It was back during the famine.
Who was going to Africa?
Paul Winchell.
During the famine?
During the famine,
God,
he
you can
came
get such
up
great food out here.
Yeah.
I don't
during
know
the
why
famine, and he developed this.
And how do you order?
How do you
know,
order?
What do you go? I'll take the.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that can't be good.
Yeah,
Is he
but
going back
but
to
it was.
Africa? Really? Was
Yeah, well, he was, and in the Mississippi, because I was a decade on a riverboat, lived in New Orleans a long time. There's these things called mud puppies, mud guppies, and they have a sort of a lizardy face and a tail on the back. They look like mutants. I swear to God, this is a real thing. Look it up. And apparently, they're nutritious as hell, and you can raise them in crap and mud, and you spit in the dirt, and you throw them. And so he took them over to Africa.
I think I'm gonna have to
developed
go.
it as Tigger, Knucklehead Smith, curing hunger. It's a natural progression. And he invented the artificial heart.
That I knew.
Really?
I'm very good friends with his daughter, April.
April. Sure,
April
sure.
Winchell now, who does
Of
a lot
course.
of voice, and I just love her to death. She makes
Yeah.
me laugh. Like, you've worked with her, right?
Oh, many, many, many
God.
times.
He's coming
She
on the
is
podcast
funny.
next week.
Yeah.
Is she really?
Yep.
Oh, she is so funny.
And you know what's
she
funny?
makes me laugh.
Oh, she's so dry.
So quick and so.
Yeah, I know, and so
But,
droll.
Right
there.
David Copperfield, who yes, was my lover for a while. We had a little stint in theater camp. Speaking of caps, in theater camp, we had a little. We did Fiddler together. Me and he played, the butcher, and I was Tevye. But
Of course.
he's an amazing guy and an old friend. I used to open for him like in the 80s. I opened for Copperfield when he
Oh,
was.
wow.
And he's just a great guy. But he has a magic museum, which is incredible. I mean, he's got artifacts and things that nobody owns, and he's really into well, I hate saying this, puppets, which makes you wonder. Yeah, right. And he had some original Jerry Mahoney's.
Oh,
that like April couldn't believe, and he actually gave her one of the puppets, and it was just
cool
amazing.
Is that?
Yeah, or sold it to her. Maybe sold it. to her.
Maybe.
I can't
Yeah,
remember
that sounds about right.
But it was amazing. But she makes me howl.
You got to make a living.
Yeah, of course you do. So since the '80s, you've been that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then you would do Tigger when
Paul was gone. He was literally going to Africa.
What are the chances of being able to? That's how brilliant you are. I mean, two of the most iconic, and I know you do thousands and thousands, but I mean, but you're such a good actor.
Oh, thanks, man.
You really, really, really are, man. And it's just it's an honor to do, because it's funny. I only did a few sessions with you in the room in the early days.
Yeah.
And I would watch you work, and then I'd go home and I'd put my head in the oven, because I would say this is not worth it. You just had that way of where everyone would sit around and go, gonna go get a biscuit. Because it was just
get a biscuit.
It was. How'd you break? Can I ask how you broke it? I mean, like, what was your first?
Well, it was right when Disney Channel first started up. And they were looking for programming. They were trying to recycle a bunch of stuff, and we had an audition for Lionel the Lion. They were redoing Dumbo. But it was people in. It was some little people, some people in like 2 or 3 people inside of the elephant costume. It was in costume. It wasn't animated, but they needed.
And there were little people in there.
Yeah, well, all sorts of Against
their will?
In costume.
In those days, you could do that. You could round up little people. They would do anything.
They would do anything.
You tell them anything. You tell them anything. Go.
Yes.
I got French draining in the yard. I need go in there. And seriously, is this true?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And they figured they needed Timothy the mouse.
Sure.
But they couldn't. I mean, how do you do a mouse? So they made him a lion, and he was like a 4-foot lion.
Okay.
And so, but it was still the same little guy.
Yeah.
Timothy, Dumbo Circus. And he sounded like sort of a little Chicago-y mouse guy. And so I did the voice, but they just assigned him Lionel the Lion. And and fortunately, excuse me, they did 65 episodes.
What, do you got COVID, Jim?
Yeah, something
are
like
you
that.
okay?
It's very dry in here.
All right,
It's dry in this town. I don't know if
is.
you know.
Okay.
My eyes are
Would you stop at the wet market on the way home?
potato chips.
Is it?
Yeah. But
And that was like your first big
it was
thing?
my very first gig. And I didn't have an agent. I just lucked out and got an audition from a guy. I was working at the Video Depot in
Is this
Anaheim
true?
Hills. Swear to God. And a
love
guy named
this.
Sal Romeo had just made this terrible B movie.
I was probably in it.
You were great. You were great. By the way.
Thank you.
You
Thank
played that
you.
one guy.
But you know what's amazing?
What?
I have to give the credit. There were 5 little people inside me.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I didn't do any of the acting. Yeah. And my first marriage. That was my first, by the way.
Really? No
Yeah. I
kidding.
just hid everything. I hid them.
Were they in a
I hid
trench
them.
coat?
My orifices, you can only imagine.
Yeah, okay.
At the
Okay.
size of me. Yeah, you don't want
You
to.
comfortable in that chair, right?
There's a chair?
Everyone's good?
There's a
Okay.
chair here?
Okay.
I'll have to give birth to that later. So that was your first. So a guy
so that
at
was first
Video Depot
Yeah,
said
and
you'd
then
be right for
well,
this.
he gave me got an audition, and I got the job.
Was he involved in this thing?
No, he just knew a guy.
Okay.
Just like a
I
guy
love
knew a
those
guy.
stories, man.
I didn't have an agent, and it took 65 episodes, and I went from making like $300 a week
Yeah.
to making $700 a week.
Really?
Big fat money now. See,
Well, that
now
back
I'm
in-
in
yeah.
the chips.
Now you're. And when did you quit
was 80
selling the porn
then.
tapes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. How did? Yeah, we might have done that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One of my first jobs, I'm embarrassed to say it, but one of my first jobs was, and this is how I met a good friend of mine, Daryl, who ended up working at TGI Fridays with me years later. This is like the early 80s. I had a job. It was where we had to sell adult videos to like the
Children.
home, right? But we to what?
Children.
No. No, wow. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So there were these kids, and no,
Okay,
but we would have to sell them over the phone. It was
Over the
phone calling
phone?
to different video stores.
Wow.
This is the early 80s. And we would call and we go, hey, we had to pick a this is Brad from Supreme, is that my, well,
Yeah,
it was really not my real name growing up.
yeah.
It was Gunther.
Craig.
It was Gunther.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Gunther Garrett, baby. Let's have a hand for this guy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was Gunther, and I would call and I would say, "Hey, we're from Supreme Video, and we're fine. We don't need any more." And I said, "Well, we got some new one. We have, Shower Rangers, or my favorite was Harry Pooter and the
Moisture
Sorcerer's
Patrol.
Bone."
Yeah.
That was good. Or a lot
Shaving
of them
Private
like that.
Ryan.
Yeah, that was one. What's that smell? Was a
Shaving
biggie.
Ryan's Privates. That was another good one.
That's a good one. But and they're like, no, we're good. But I actually did that speaking of Video Depot. So that's a great story.
Oh, man.
And it was all in costume. That show. That's
it was all in
incredible.
costume. And no, I wasn't in costume.
Right.
But by the time 65 episodes were up, I had an agent.
Sure.
So I didn't have that downtime where you're
Wow.
poor.
Well, you're lucky.
You're working. Now you're poor. Now you have enough to live on. And so and I was very,
never
knock
stopped.
on wood, and I never stopped.
That's incredible.
And it's what's interesting. We were talking about it the other day. In one iteration or another, Mickey Mouse Club, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Mickey Mouse House of Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Boy, we got a lot of Mickey Mouse and the Roadster Racers. On more Mickey Mouse, and it's still going. We just wrapped for the first time since my career started on I don't have a Mickey Mouse episode on my calendar.
As
right
of
now.
like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, just a couple weeks
and
ago.
you did Mickey.
No, I was I was always Pete.
You were Pete.
I was tied.
love my
Well,
favorite.
there you go, pal. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
That big cat.
I auditioned
Pull
for that.
my finger.
Yeah, that
You
hurt.
did?
That, of course, I did. And they were going to get Jim. I have one voice, seriously, and two speeds. That's really, there is no range.
Seems
here.
to be working
It's
out.
like it's like I look at my stuff and it's like, oh, that's just bloat with a limp. It's like it's unbelievable. And people would go like, "Can you do anything different?" But it's like it's like a plethora of stuff. When you were young, did you know? I mean, were you always doing did you impersonate people in the family or teachers? Or was it,
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, that's what I did,
God rest their soul, my Uncle Sam and my Aunt Grace have been in a lot of cartoons.
for real?
Uncle Sam was always the dragon or some goddamn thing.
Is that for real?
Yeah, that's how he talked. God rest his soul. My cousins are
So
sitting there
they
going,
did animation.
No, they were in Youngstown.
I thought
they were-
you meant they were okay, but that's
No.
so their voices.
And then my Aunt Grace, she was from Pennsylvania, and she said, "That's all I like this here." Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Will you freshen this up for your auntie, honey? Honey, just tell them make the same thing. And that
that's
was, and she
unreal.
was in, she
And
was in
did
a
you
lot
do
of
that
cartoons.
for them? I mean, they had a hell with them.
Yeah,
Were you-
they hated me.
Did you?
Yeah, the
had to
hell's the
love it.
matter with him?
Yeah.
I used to get that a lot.
And you started out doing impressions earlier in your
I
career.
I did.
I heard
yeah.
you did a Bill Cosby. I really want to hear the Bill Cosby.
Yeah. What I see with the people with now before the rapey, I was yes. You can do. I'm Dr. Huxtable. You know the story of when he brought me on the Tonight Show.
Uh-oh.
He brought me on the Tonight Show, and I was working in Vegas. This is when I started in Vegas. I was opening for Crystal Gale at the DI, and he was at the Hilton. And he was, at the last minute, he was supposed to fill in for Carson as a host because Johnny got sick. And it was really, and he had a show, at the Hilton, and and listen, if the plane gets me to the Burbank.
I like the mouth. You look like him.
Yeah, the
a little
belly.
bit. That's what kills me.
And they said, all right, we need a comic. So we were with the same agency, not the same agent. And they were pushing me. And again, I'd done the Tonight Show. Nothing great, really nothing to write home about. I got through, I got one of these and I got one of these. So it was kind of a push. But so I get a call and they go, Bill wants to have you on the Tonight Show today.
Whoa.
Tonight. So I go, okay. They go, you're going to go out. So they go, show up at the airport and it's Carson's jet. And Carson.
That'll work.
Yep. And I get on the plane, and growing up, he was one of my heroes, especially for stand up.
Oh my God!
And I get on the plane, and there's Cosby, and this is when the Cosby Show was on. This was the early '80s,
man!
And he's holding a calendar section of the Time magazine, and he's on the front of it, and he's holding it.
Oh, for crying!
And I walk on the plane, and I'm a little shaky. And there's a huge spread in front of him of fruit and cheese. And I get on the plane, and I nod, and he goes, "Have some kiwi." Okay. So I sit down, and there's, and I sit away from him. He goes, "Please have a seat. Or what is it? Sit down." And I sit down next to him, and we take off. It's a 40-minute flight, and he doesn't say much, and very cordial.
Yeah.
And right before we land, because I had my little set up. Now, usually you work on a Tonight Show set. It takes quite a while. But, I found out in literally 24 hours. So I'm like, well, I know what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll close with Cosby. He's hosting. It'll bring the house down.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have much.
Yeah,
I'm doing my, hacky 7-Eleven jokes, with Habib or whatever.
And you had to have like 4 minutes?
Six. And I don't have 6 now, to be honest. Don't have 6 now, 40 years later. So we're about to land. And he says, "Hey, Brad, I hear you do an impression of me." And I went, yes. And he goes, "Don't do it tonight."
Okay.
Okay. And I was like,
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, "I'm serious."
Oh.
And I go into I think I'm having an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, well, I could do Rodney, but I'll tell you, you're okay. You're all right. All right. I was once doing Rodney at the Improv.
That was good.
When I started
nuts,
out, I was doing Rodney at the Improv, and I hear from the back of the room, "Why don't you get your own fucking act?" Okay? And I almost started to cry. I remember, I was 19, and I welled up and I went, "Oh my God, that's Rodney." And then he just walks on stage, like right after that.
Whoa.
And I'm like, and he's like, you're okay, all right. Good luck with your life. And we ended up being buddies later in life. But it was like, oh my God. That was, that's something
That's brutal.
It was brutal.
That is insane.
So I end up, cut to the chase, I'm doing the Tonight Show, and the set's going very average.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's going okay.
It was
And I
polite.
see Cosby watching the set, and I got like, "Hurrah!" I got like one of those.
Yeah.
But it wasn't great. It was okay.
Yeah.
It was like, I knew people were looking at me going, "He's got great cadence," because nothing really.
Great cadence.
Yeah, and I know I got 30 seconds to finish, and the act really didn't build. So I'm like, I'm going to do Cosby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go out with
And
a bang.
I pull it out, and the place goes nuts.
Oh, no.
And he is stone.
Ooh.
So I wasn't called over, nor did I deserve to be.
Oh,
okay?
boy.
I get on the plane. I got to fly back with him.
Oh man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we both have a show.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
And, right away, I'm like, it's a good chance he's really going to touch me now. And, because, it's a win-win. And I'm on the plane, and not a word.
Oof.
Not a word.
Sphinx.
And I'm sitting, the sphincter was like...
And the sphincter,
gone
yes.
fishing. The sphincter gun, So you're saying sphinx.
Yeah, no,
which to
but
me,
you heard the
I go
right...
sphincter.
Yes.
You always had a way of doing it correctly. And
Oh, God.
not a word for the 45 minutes. And, I'm not saying anything. And we land at the McCarran here at the private. And these two limos come up. And I said, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And just, and that's when that's when the drinking really got heavy.
Yeah, that's right.
And
From
doubled
there
up on
you
the
knew.
therapy.
You doubled, oh, God, that's
You've
insane.
been sober for quite a while now, right?
Just celebrated 28 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
No kidding.
thank you.
It's no easy
Congratulations.
feat.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't recommend it. It's been very lonely and no, it was thank goodness.
Good for
Thank
you.
goodness.
That's great. That's
Thank you,
great.
man. Thank you. Yeah, had to.
Yeah.
But
That's a
my
beautiful
God,
thing.
My God, yeah.
Well, let's jump
After
over-
this. I may take a tipper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Recover. Just to,
Yes, exactly.
Just to
I miss rehab.
just to even out.
Yes.
Let's jump over to your voice acting career. So,
Oh God.
if I'm not mistaken, Two Stupid Dogs.
Too stupid.
Was that your
dogs.
first
That
VO?
was do you know Donovan Cook, who was
Oh,
the
yeah, sure.
director,
Oh,
creator,
yeah.
so talented.
Yeah,
he came
Three
up
Musketeers.
with yeah, exactly. God darn, I'm sure you worked on that, yes?
Oh, Pete was. Yeah, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my old buddy.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Hey there, pal.
Well, he was in Three Musketeers?
Well, I think he produced it.
You're right. You're right. Anyway, Mark Schiff, the comedian, played the small, stupid dog. And again, my range. It was like, don't eat it, which is Eeyore.
Yeah.
Which is bloat on Percocet. Which is,
Okay.
it's a little, but Two Stupid Dogs was actually, that was my favorite. It was Hanna-Barbera. You remember them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Joe Barbera, I remember he, I was young. He walked in and he heard me do a couple lines and he called Donovan over. He goes, were there other people?
Well, oh,
Yeah, you gotta throw a wider net. And Donovan fought for me, and that was fun.
Jesus.
To this day, I don't know. I had this because he's so talented and really funny writer. And there was a thing where the dogs. I was like a big sheepdog, and Mark Schiff was the dachshund, and we were really, we were
Right.
two stupid dogs, and we would do something where we would eat something or chew on a shoe, and then one of us would throw up a corn cob. Okay,
Perfect.
Full, and we would ask, this is happening a lot, Donovan. What does it mean? It's not important. Take 40. And,
God.
okay. And then one day he said to me, he
Jesus
goes,
Christ.
one day I'm going to tell you, because I'll run into him every few years or we'll text or email out of the blue. And I've always, and I go, I know the corn cob meant something. And you know where my mind goes, not good.
Yeah, yes,
And I
right.
said, can you just tell me when? He goes,
Yeah.
one day I'll tell you. So if Donovan, if you're listening, I want to know what the corn cob meant.
Oh, so we
you're
still
over
don't
there.
know.
That's a camera? I don't
yeah.
work much. I keep looking at my guy over there because he's he's hitting the bong pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yes. He
You can
doesn't
hear
like
that
me.
sound.
Yeah,
that's a bad. That's a bad sound.
And I wanted to also ask you, do you have a musical background? Because in Tangled, as Hook Hand, you had a little musical number, and I'm curious.
Well, I'm not sure how you're asking that. It's funny. I was incredibly off key, and Alan Menken, is that his name? Alan
Menken. Ellen Menken.
Please don't correct me.
Okay.
Alan Menken, because I know you sing. When they wrote this for Tangled, I go, I'm kind of tone deaf, and I'm not a good singer. And he's like, that's what we want. And I said, well,
Perfect.
So I go in there to lay it down, and I'm, really nervous because I've had the song for a week. It was a great song. What was it? Everybody, you got a dream. I got a dream. dream. I got a dream. So, that's right.
Wow.
And I'm happy to teach you how to do that later. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, God, I just hope there's not many. You know. And I go there, and they have the Disney choir, which I know you've done. So these incredible singers are doing the chorus.
Perfect.
And, but I really don't sing. I wish I could. I think every comedian wants. You sing.
I
quite
sing
well,
a little bit.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Not bad.
Okay. What was? Can I get a little?
Sure. What would you like to hear?
Some enchanted evening, there will be a stranger.
That's it. Okay.
Wow, that's incredible. You
That
know, I
was-
think
that
I
was
peed,
really bad,
I think
huh?
I peed just a little.
Did
no,
you?
I love that. I love that. You know, I lost my virginity to that song.
No, you too?
Yes, I did. I did.
Wow.
It was in the, was
I lost your virginity too. It's got to be around here somewhere. Jesus Christ.
oh man.
Don't try this at home, by the way.